Hello, I'm thrilled to host today's IBM Policy Lab on artificial intelligence. And I'm extremely privileged to have with us Shri Abhishek Singh, who, in addition to being Additional Secretary for Meity, he also is the CEO of Digital India Corporation and is an expert and a pioneer in driving artificial intelligence initiatives for the government of India. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Sandip.
So let me just start off. Clearly you have been talking about AI for India. In broad strokes, how do you see artificial intelligence really create an impact for the country? But more importantly, how do you see it actually shaping how the government works and how we drive growth in the country through digitization?
AI, of course, has become more of a buzzword in the last few months since the advent of generative AI, but AI has been around for a long time. And when we look at a country like India, we obviously look at the strengths that we have. One of the key strengths that India always has is being the IT garage for the world, providing IT trained manpower. So we are one of the world's leading countries with the world's maximum number of AI trained workforce that we have. Then we also have a very strong, robust AI startup ecosystem that we have. And coupled with that, we also have implemented large-scale digital transformation projects in the last few years, which has led to digitization in several sectors, whether it's education or healthcare, agriculture, and that has led to generation of huge volumes of data. So once you have data, and with the advent of compute that has come in today, and you combine that with the AI algorithms and models that they are there, you are able to build AI-based solutions that can offer better public services. So Government of India feels that use of AI and building AI-based solutions for solving societal problems at population scale, whether it's for diagnosing of diseases like tuberculosis or breast cancer or diabetic retinopathy, or use in agriculture wherein models can predict what farm produce can be there, what kind of crops you should sow, what should be the cropping cycle, or for disaster warning with regard to when floods are coming and making people alert about that, or use in education for creating personalized learning plans, or in manufacturing to augment it. All applications of AI can create a huge impact in pushing forward our economic growth, as also making services available to citizens in a better way. And then another dimension that we have in a country, we are a very diverse and a complex country, as you know, 22 official languages. So NLP becomes a very important source. How do you ensure that you use NLP based solutions for delivering services in all Indian languages and hopefully in voice enabled services? So all this makes AI a very, very important thrust for India. There have been reports by various organizations which have said that it can add up to $1 trillion to Indian digital economy. It can create a lot of jobs in this. India has the potential to become the world leader in providing AI-based services. So there is a huge impetus from the government side to take up initiatives in the field of artificial intelligence so that we retain our strength when it comes to providing IT and AI-based solutions to the world, as also use it for improving delivery of public services within the country.
So I think very well said, and I think both it was very well articulated, both in terms of short-term and long-term benefits. Let me sort of link it to a related topic. India is starting to enter the golden demographic dividend, as we call it. So if I just make sure that I have the numbers right, if you look at the economic survey of 2018-19, it stated that India's demographic dividend would peak around 2041, where the share of the working age, which is anywhere from 20 to 59, population will hit over 59%, almost 60%. So what this means is we have, and we've always had, India has always had a huge talent base, which tends to benefit from the evolution in technology and so on. And when you look at artificial intelligence in particular, what do you think this has implications for India as we start to embrace and drive the accelerated adoption of artificial intelligence?
See, this is both this kind of demographic profile that we have as a country is both an opportunity and also a risk factor. Like opportunity in the sense that if we are able to train the workforce or train the youth with the right skills, they can go and claim the jobs that will emerge in the emerging AI ecosystem. So to that extent, there is a lot of efforts which have been made with CBSE bringing in AI curriculum right from school education, from class 10th, 11th, then the initiative which Meity has taken of converting ITIs and polytechnics into data labs and trying to train data scientists and data analysts in tier 2, tier 3 cities, ensuring AI as a curriculum in undergrad in engineering colleges, supporting PhD research in artificial intelligence and emerging technologies. So all these measures have been taken to ensure that we kind of ensure that we have the ready supply of AI trained workforce in the days to come. And along with that, the whole program of future prime skills, which focuses on reskilling and upskilling existing workforce. So all that is targeted to ensure that we continue getting the rightly trained people as the jobs emerge in the days to come. But at the same time, when we see the way generative AI and all is evolving, a lot of low value jobs will be impacted. Like for example, basic coding and all. Today, ChatGPT does better Python coding than most of the coders that do. And in our team also, we are seeing that once these fellows are using these generative AI tools, the job that they used to do in 3 days, they are able to do in 1 day. So that ultimately means that that instead of 3 people, I may need only 1 person. So India has been like the back office of the world in providing these low value coders for various jobs. And if these jobs get impacted, then we need to think of what will happen to those people who lose out on this. So this would require a huge reskilling and upskilling strategy in order to ensure that how do we go up the value chain? How do we ensure that we give skills that will be required? One particular opportunity that we see is like with the requirement of data sets. There are a lot of jobs that will be created in basic data analyst jobs or data annotation, photo tagging, video tagging, because ultimately if you have to build a health solution which uses X-ray images, those images have to be tagged by someone. So those jobs will emerge. So we are working with the Ministry of Skills for creating those jobs in the polytechnics, in the ITIs, by converting the ITIs into data labs and ensuring that people are imparted data skills so that they will be able to be better prepared to take these jobs. So I see this demographic profile that we have as a huge advantage, but at the same time we need to have the right policies in order to ensure that we are able to make the most of the opportunity that we have.
I think what you said about reskilling and upskilling, that is critical, because I think when you look at history as well, every time there has been technological disruption, there has been a disruption in how jobs get shaped and how work actually gets done. So as long as there is a commitment for reskilling, upskilling to actually take advantage of that educated and working group, I think there's a lot we can do. Let me switch gears a little bit. The India-US relationship is probably at its best it has ever been, and we've seen the sentiments being improved and others over this period of time. Do you think this is this particular improved relationship between India and US, it presents us with the possibilities to simplify a little bit the regulatory and policy frameworks and actually drive the ease of doing business internationally, both for Indian companies, but also for companies overseas that actually want to do more in India?
See, that has been the focus of the present government. Like for the last 10 years, if you see the number of processes that have been simplified, the ease of doing business, rankings which used to be given by the World Bank, wherein we moved several steps up. And there has been a concerned focus with regard to how do we drive investments, how do we kind of get the big tech especially start coming and setting up shop. And we have seen in the last few years, if you see almost every big tech corporation has expanded its operations in India, whether it's setting up research centers or research labs or investing in data centers. So in every other sector, we have seen a huge expansion in doing that. And that has been enabled by having proactive policies for providing these services. The recent legislative enactment, for example, even the Data Protection Act that we have come up with, that also kind of factors in all the necessary ingredients that are required for ensuring that the investments go up, the partnerships become stronger, and we kind of leverage the strength that is there in the Western world with regard to pushing our technology initiatives. There are dependencies that we have. We are setting up our semiconductor manufacturing. We are boosting up our electronics manufacturing. We want to be self-reliant in almost every field that is there, but there will be a roadmap to that. And we are in partnership with the US and the other companies who are helping us, we are working with them in order to strengthen our ecosystem and ensure that we get the maximum out of the partnership that we have.
It's great to get your perspective. I will give you my perspective from, being the head of an MNC in India. I will tell you that as we have continued to expand our footprint in India. So as you are very familiar, we are now expanding into emerging clusters like Gandhinagar, Mysore, Bhubaneswar, Kochi. We are getting a lot of support from the government. And I will tell you that the focus particularly of Meity, and given that you are very much an office holder there and supporting that, the collaboration that we find that the government is doing with the industry in terms of consultation and others, that has actually been a very welcome change, because that, I think, brings in the voice of the industry, both local as well as MNCs, into the shaping of policy. So I commend you for everything that you and the government are doing. It's been a very, very positive change and a positive experience.
Yeah, and it's not only at the national level, we are also seeing states competing with each other. Like while the government of India has come up with positive policies which attracts investments, but we are also seeing the states starting to compete with each other.
They are.
So UP would come up with something more, Gujarat will come up with something more, Tamil Nadu will try to match it, Telangana will try to add something more. So that again shows the sentiment that is there, not only in the government of India, but also across the states.
So let's sort of move the conversation into, I think, policy, given that this is a policy lab getting into regulations and governance. There's a lot of discussion going on today about how do you regulate, how do you govern artificial intelligence. And this is a ongoing dialogue across multiple stakeholders across the country, related to government, related to academia, even globally. And more importantly, I think the social sector organizations are getting into this dialogue and others. Now, we have always believed as IBM that technology should be regulated based on the risk of different issues that are inherent in that technology. So for artificial intelligence, it's based on the risk of different AI applications, etc. So we refer to that as precision regulation. That's how we refer to it. Now we understand, I mean, we heard the Honorable Minister of State for IT, Shri Rajiv Chandrasekhar, he had spoken about the approach to regulate AI through a prism of user harm, which I think is a very noble way of thinking about it, right? Could you elaborate a little bit on India's point of view on artificial intelligence policy making specifically that encourages the industry actors to create responsible AI? Because at the end of the day, right, all of it has to be tested on the parameters of fairness, transparency, accountability, security. That's the way we look at any technology. Some perspectives and thoughts on that.
See, you rightly said, our Honorable Minister kind of explained India's approach and that, and we were at Bletchley 2 weeks back, wherein he spoke at the AI Safety Summit that UK had hosted. And there also he outlined India's approach to regulations for AI and also with regard to internet governance. So it rests on two key pillars of safety and trust. Okay, like how do you ensure that AI or any technology that we are using is safe and is trusted? And that basically is seen from the prism of user harm or the potential to cause user harm. So while we don't kind of classify solutions as good, bad or ugly, but we kind of say that like it should primarily focus on approaches or solutions that are for larger social good and that do not cause any user harm. And user harm can be defined in such ways wherein it causes any damage to anybody's profile or sharing something that is without his consent, and that kind of takes the entire overview in that direction. And our focus has always been to focus more on innovation and have guardrails that would just prevent user harm and ensure that the AI technologies or AI solutions that are being developed are safe and trusted. and accountability is fixed with regard to anyone who is developing any solution that can cause any harm. So that's the kind of approach that we are taking, but we are not also too paranoid about risk. We are realizing that there is always a pro and there is always a positive side of technology, be it any technology, whether it's nuclear technology, you could use it for building bombs or you could use it for generating power. So similarly with AI also, there is a lot of scope, especially in a country of our size, magnitude, the data set that we have, the complexity that we have, and to use it for larger social good, for healthcare, for agriculture, for education, for skilling, and ensure that we have regulations or we have a framework which will be defined more clearly in the Digital India Act that is in the works, and that will ensure that user harm is prevented.
We at IBM, we pride ourselves on actually being ahead of the curve, particularly in terms of where trust, fairness, and others comes up. So we were one of the first to have an AI ethics board as a part of responsible AI focus and so on. And it was established more as a cross-disciplinary central body to drive the culture of ethical, responsible and trustworthy AI, both from a development standpoint and also deployment standpoint. So there were instances where we came out with a, sort of a data manifesto where we said we will never, our technology will never even inadvertently own any client's data or insights. And we were very clear about how we are developing technology to do that. We do open by design, that was one of the key principles. So we were, I think, ahead of the curve. I think for some facial recognition and others, we actually divested some of that technology. So we actually do believe that self-regulation also is really important. Is there a need, do you think, a framework for some form of self-regulation? What are your views in that? And do you see that ever happening in India?
See, that can imagine it, that can emerge. It has been, the self-regulation has been tried out in some other sectors, like the intermediary guidelines that were laid out last year, 2021, Feb 2021, the intermediary guidelines that had come out with for broadcasting mediums, and also in other sectors there have been measures for self-regulatory regime that is to come, and those discussions are going on internally with various departments, with various stakeholders, with industry partners as also global partners. US has recently, on the eve of the Bletchley Summit, US came out with a 111-page document with regard to AI regulation. We are having regular discussions on in the global partnership on AI also, because we also realize that this is not something which is limited to one country or one geography. Whatever happens in the field of AI, because very often the harm that is caused, the victim might be in some other geography, the perpetrator might be in some other geography, and the orchestrator or the enabler might be in some other geography. So we need to have a global approach to doing this, and we are working with all our close partners at various forums, whether with the UK summit or with the US, the discussion that we have, or the GPA. UNESCO also has an ethical assessment framework for AI-based solutions. We are a signatory to that. So we are working with all stakeholders and all partners to come out with a strategy to do that. So whether it will be a self-regulatory regime or whether it will be thin touch regulation, laying down the guardrails with regard to what can be done, what cannot be done, that would be the policy outcome that we'll be expecting in a few weeks.
So you just actually teed up the next question for me. So with, you mentioned that a lot of these things would have global ramifications. So with AI regulation that are in the works globally, we have a belief that policymakers across the globe should be working together to bring some level of harmonization across these policy for the proliferation of AI. Because this technology, as you said, the technology, I think, has similar applications across the board, and implications will be there across all of them. So this is important to enable, and it also helps multinational companies as they operate across multiple jurisdictions and so on. So what are your views on India's position on AI policy harmonization around the world? Do you believe in that? I know that you are working with all of these different groups. What is the push on driving policy harmonization across multiple jurisdictions?
See, as I mentioned, we are working at various forums. We are the part of the global partnership on AI. We are the incoming chair this year, and the entire 2024, the entire initiatives and the GPA will be driven by India. So, in fact, today also we had the executive committee meeting, and in that also these issues are being discussed. Like, how do we come out with a global framework? GPA currently has adopted the OECD's AI framework of 2019, and along with that, with the new advancement in generative AI, there has been discussions in the forum with regard to how do we revise that, how do we fine tune it with the emerging needs which are there, the issues with regard to some big tech entrepreneurs coming up and saying that let's stop AI research at that point. So, we don't agree with that. We don't also agree totally with the EU approach, which is very hard-coded, more towards restricting any innovation. We don't believe in that. Our approach always has been to allow enough space for innovation and have guardrails to prevent any misuse or any abuse of the technology which will cause user harm. Our objective is to ensure safe, trusted, responsible, ethical use of AI, which borders on fairness and bias-free approach. And when we do the assessment frameworks for fairness, therein we also try to look at what are the Indian requirements which might not totally align with the Western requirements. Because when the Western world, when you talk of bias and fairness, you primarily look at gender and race. In India, because of the diversity that we have, we also have to look at caste, community, religion, region, all kinds of biases can emerge in the data sets that we have. So, to develop AI solutions which are ethical and totally responsive, we need to also look at it from that lens. So, we are working with the global bodies, but at the same time, our teams are also trying to develop a framework for assessment which will be useful to evaluate AI solutions that are being developed and deployed in India.
Very, very well stated. So, safety and trust as the bedrock.
Yes.
Have a global context, but make sure that it works locally.
That's right.
So, very, very, very well said. And I think that is probably what we will see evolve across the world, particularly as things move through. I think wherever you are seeing things that are more restrictive, I think over a period of time, people will evolve to that level of thinking that you have, which is how do you drive innovation, but at the same time, prevent the misuse and user harm, as you will say, based on safety and trust. Thank you so much, Mr. Singh. This was very, very helpful. As I think this particular technology evolves, I think it has the promise of accelerating adoption a lot faster than any other technologies ever did. So we are living in the artificial intelligence age, and these matters around policy, how we regulate it, how we actually continue to drive that innovation for the greater good of the population, I think is going to be really, really important. So again, thank you for your views, and we look forward to continuing this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. Look forward to working with you in building some of these solutions and trying to see the AI-based dreams that we have become a reality.